welcome to the Growth Whisperers, where everything we talk about is building enduring great companies. My name's Brad Giles, and today I'm joined with my co-host, Kev. Kev, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Brad. I just love doing this show. You know, it gives us a chance to put our heads together and think about stuff that really matters for our clients. It's kind of like we're doing like a mini refresher and even some in-depth thinking about different aspects of our work on a weekly basis. And I'm really enjoying it. Plus, it's sunny outside, so that helps too.
Yeah, good to hear. I'm enjoying it too. It's good stuff. So, as always, we like to start with a word or phrase of the day. Kev, what do you got today?
You know, I didn't even think about it. I'm thinking about it as we speak, and I think
so it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a great one. It might not be an original one. It could be an inspiring one.
Do you want me to go first?
It's the opposite. No, the word is opposite.
Opposite. Okay.
Opposite. So, conventional wisdom and conventional thinking takes you down a certain road, and it gives you more, consistent or predictable results to what other people are getting. Sometimes doing the opposite is a really powerful technique. Recently, we had at the racetrack that we're members at, a car racetrack, there was a big annual event, and it was going to be, and generally it's good. And a bunch of us decided to make it a costume party, even though it wasn't. And we all went in costume and had a riot. So it was the opposite of what everyone else did. Seems like we may have been the people having the most fun at the whole event. And it was an amazing time. But it was kind of, it was thinking the opposite, going not against the grain in an aggressive or abrasive way. It was just everyone's going down one way. We did basically the exact opposite, and in our mind got notably better results. And so it reminds me in business of how we end up being too same and like everyone else. And what could you do this the opposite and potentially be better or at least more fun?
Well, mine is replace busy with stupid. I think I might have said that maybe 50 episodes ago.
I think you did.
But yeah, I've been very busy for a whole range of reasons, most of which are self-inflicted.
Must be really dumb. Based on that, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, but it's a great way to stay humble and to say how can I be less stupid, i.e. less busy? So it's replace busy. So whenever you're saying, the context for that very quickly is that you might meet someone and they'll say, "Hi, how are you doing?" And the response would be, "Oh, I'm pretty busy." So you replace busy with stupid. "Oh, I'm pretty stupid." We want to be
that hurts. That hurts.
Our time.
It is, but it is a great one. I remember hearing something similar, Brad. It was one of the industrialists like Henry Ford, and he said, back in the day, he said, if a man would be, today would be a person, but if a person can't do their job in 40 hours a week, they're incompetent. Now, I've always held that as a benchmark, and an aspiration. I just, the hard part is I can make all kinds of excuses maybe, but I am very busy and I like to be busy. I'm one of these people, I don't like to sit around. I like to do stuff. I just got to make sure I balance off the doing the work stuff and the doing the stuff with my family and my friends and other things, so that, and that's why I wrote a book, and that's why I decided that the concept of work-life balance is silly. That's a whole other story, but I like that. Busy is stupid. And
replace busy with stupid.
Replace busy with stupid and do the opposite of what everyone else is doing, which is similar train of thinking. Awesome. Excellent. So what the heck are we talking about today, Brad?
Oh, I tell you what, I've said this before, but
we're gonna have a cooking class, aren't we?
This time I'm excited. We're talking about the SMAC recipe, right? The specific, methodical, and consistent recipe for success. This is the thing that gets a lot of leadership team members excited, because it's like, hang on, once they understand the concept, hang on, if we can stick to this stuff, we are destined to succeed. It's an awesome, awesome concept.
Well, speaking of what mine was my term opposite, I'm quite thrilled that you get excited by coming up with a recipe for discipline. I don't know that the companies I work with get excited about it. but you have an opposite view, and I appreciate your opposite view. It's something you got to do. Like, it's almost like figuring out the guardrails or whatever it happens to be. But I maybe it's your enthusiasm about it that gets people excited about it.
No, it's the results that we produce that gets people excited about it.
Okay, good. Very good. All right. Proving that you are not indeed stupid. Excellent. All right. So let's talk about the SMAC list. It is a really powerful piece from his book, Great by Choice. I love it. And the companies that we've done this with, it is a guideline. And right now in turbulent times, we go back to it. Even one of the companies that I work with, I know the SMAC list from a similar company, and it was about balance sheet. And then I saw his, and I went, whoa, and this is going back almost a year ago. Whoa, buddy, this ain't gonna work. I see how you're running your balance sheet, and my client in the identical industry has a SMAC list directly related to balance sheet, and you are blowing it up. And so that created a great conversation, which created notable balance sheet improvements in the last 9 months. But it was, similar business had already figured it out, and he hadn't, and we didn't want him to learn the hard way, because you don't want to get smacked. We can almost say the SMAC list, it's from lessons that you get smacked with.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly a part of it. It's about your failures and disappointments. This is jumping forward a little bit, and your repeatable successes. So we're analyzing, we're thinking about those things. So maybe let's start off and let's see how Jim Collins, the founder of the concept, describes it. SMAC Recipe is a concept developed in the book Great by Choice. A SMAC recipe is a set of durable operating practices that creates a replicable, consistent success formula. The word SMAC stands for specific, methodical, and consistent. A solid SMAC recipe is the operating code for turning strategic concepts into reality. A set of practices more enduring than mere tactics. It is like the US Constitution, both durable and practical, and also amenable. Great companies and social
amendable.
Thank you very much. Great companies and social enterprises change their SMAC recipe no more than about 20% per decade. So a key SMAC question is, what is the right 20% to change? So that's Jim Collins' definition.
Yeah. And if you want to read more on that, you can read that that's right off his site. He's got some further information on SMAC, and obviously read the book Great by Choice, where you can get a lot more in depth. But it's a very simple, powerful concept that helps you to stay in your lane and not get yourself in trouble by doing a bunch of things that you shouldn't. I wouldn't say stay in your lane. Stay focused and disciplined on the things that really matter.
That's the problem, right? It's distraction. That's
it's dangerous. So in Great by Choice, he studied and what he called 10Xers, companies that beat their index by 10 times during an unstable period. So he was looking for these people that thrived in really riskier times.
Yeah. So think about, we're going into an unstable period now. If you could beat your companies or your competitors or your industry by 10 times in this unstable period, that's why Great by Choice matters. It's those.
Yes, and that's why most of our clients are very excited about this economic shift that we're experiencing, because it opens up opportunities like crazy for good operating companies or excellent operating companies, because the ones that aren't running that well get really wobbly, which creates more opportunities for us. So basically they outperform their peers by more than 30-1. That's the 10Xers that are kind of studied and that this principle was found in. And Brad, you want to explain how it relates to the hedgehog? Because the hedgehog is one of the other powerful concepts and I believe that was good to great or built to last. I think
Yeah. Yeah. So Jim's got a really good definition of the SMAC as it relates to the hedgehog. So the hedgehog, think about it like this. Hedgehog is very high level. SMAC is very specific. And when you build them both, they should connect really well together. So this is Jim's definition. A hedgehog concept is a simple crystalline concept that flows from a deep understanding about the intersection of purpose, or your core purpose, what you can be the best at, and the profit per X, or the driver of your economic engine. Okay, so imagine the Venn diagram. We've done episodes on the hedgehog before. Imagine a Venn diagram. In one circle is your core purpose. In another circle is your profit per X, or what is the single economic driver of your business. And then in the third circle is what you can be the best at. The hedgehog is at the center of that. It's a very high level concept. On the other hand, a SMAC is the code for translating a high level hedgehog concept into specific action, and for keeping an organization focused in the same direction, thereby building flywheel momentum.
Awesome. So how are they built? Interesting. I just looked over a second. One of the companies I work with, I'm doing some work with this week, just sent me their SMAC list. I just gave it a look. It's great timing.
Yeah.
So how are they built? Well, you analyze all the stuff that's gone right and gone wrong in good times and bad times, and then you build this list. It's like a playbook. So in one of the companies that I work with, their father, there's three awesome brothers that I work with, a company called Ashana in India. Just a shout out to Vishal, Varun, and Ankur. And their wonderful father, Om Gupta, founded the business and taught them a bunch of principles over the year of how to manage their business well.
Yep.
And how to be successful in the long term. We took his wisdom, through them. I never got to meet the man, although he's a wonderful man, everything they told me about him. And we built the SMAC list. It's basically what would Dad say to do, right? To make sure that the business endured over the long term. And it's some great stuff. And if we look at their SMAC, and I won't give you specifics, but we talk about that they do multi-tower developments all around India. Well, the first tower needs to be sold to a certain percentage before you start building the second. And in real estate development, people get excited and get ahead of themselves. And you might get the first one 25% sold, and well, let's get going on the second one. Well, that's a surefire way to get in trouble. They talk about the other types of real estate that they don't get into. They talk about leverage on their balance sheet. They talk about how much cash to have on hand at all times. They also talked about the fact that they don't rezone land. They buy land that's ready to go, and they don't land bank. Some companies have a strategy to have land for 50 years. That's called land banking. It's a different strategy. They don't do it.
It's also called burning cash.
It is, but if you have a lot of it and you can buy it at $1,000 an acre and then sell it at $1 million, it can be a beautiful model, but it consumes a lot.
Yeah.
And they also talk about the fact that they always maintain their properties forever. Whatever they build, they always take care of it, even though it's sold. And for those in the West, it's like, strata titled properties, but they still maintain it. So they have a list. I'm not going to give you all their details, but they have this stuff that they learn, and we refer back to it all the time. And in turbulent times, we go and look at it and we stick to it. And if there's a question that comes up against it, it violates the SMAC. Anyways, they've done a beautiful job with it. But an example of this is a company that's been around for decades, and they want it to stay for decades.
Yeah.
And so it's keeping the wisdom of all of, and it's their own lessons, but lessons that they learned from their father and their father learned in his years, all into the DNA of the company, so they stay smart.
So SMAC recipes are built analyzing your failures and disappointments and your repeatable successes, not the one-offs, not like you know, we won this award or we got lucky here. It's the repeatable successes. So that then culminates in a list of about 8 to 10 items. And it's like we always and we never. We always do this or we do that. So we want to give you a couple of examples here as well. So Southwest Airlines is airline that we would all.
Can I just back up before you get into it?
Oh, sure.
It's also so that when people come in with awesome new ideas, you don't kill the business. I mean, if you look at Southwest, like they're a freakishly successful business, but they're also freakishly different than every other freaking airline out there on almost every way you could look at them. It's just, anyways, it's to protect you from new ideas as much as it is bad decisions or dangerous decisions. Yeah.
And we'll go back to your property client that you mentioned. Any one of those things, people could get excited about that. But it's different this time, or it's in that geography, things aren't like that, or this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We've got to jump on it. And these are the things that pop up in the moment or without the wisdom of, the lived experience perhaps, or when we've forgotten the lived experience, we've forgotten the pain. These are the things that endure and keep us on the straight and narrow.
Yep.
They really are. All right. So let's
dig into Southwest. I love their SMAC list.
Yeah. So there's 10 items in their SMAC, and it tells us what to do and what not to do. That's the thing. And remember, this is deeply connected to their hedgehog and all of the other parts of their values and their purpose and everything else that they do. So I don't think we're going to go through all 10 of them, but I just want to pick out a few. So the first one would be utilize the 737 as our primary aircraft for 10 to 12 years.
Yep.
We don't use other aircraft. It would be so tempting, but we stick to the 737. All of our mechanics, all of our people know those aircraft inside out. We only have to carry certain spares. There's so many things that come out of that. And it matters. The second one I'll go through is continued high aircraft utilization and quick turns, 10 minutes in most cases. So when you're making
10 minutes, 10 minutes. It's insane how quick that they can do that.
Yeah. So when you're making a new decision to bring on a new software or a new geography or whatever it might be, can we do it in 10 minutes? Can we still maintain our turnarounds in 10 minutes? Right. Like these are the things that it keeps.
And that's why they don't have reserved seating, because it takes too long to fluff around. You just go in like you're getting on a bus. Like everything they do practically comes down to that one point. Is it's quick turnaround, maximizing the part of their strategy is called wheels up, keeping the plane in the air.
And that's
why they're so damn different than every other airline.
And that's why I get so excited about these disciplines. The next one, continued low fares and high frequency of service. That's pretty simple, but this is the one I love. Stay out of food services.
And there's going to have been many executives over there as well. The margin we could make on that food, and then we'd be more premium airline, and then we could compete with the other guys. You know what I learned about Herb Kelleher, the founder, and he was at one of his shareholder meetings, and people were comparing the rates of Southwest compared to other airlines. And they're saying that we should be charging more because we were cheaper than other people by way too much. And he's like, in the nicest way possible, sir, I don't think you understand our business. The airlines aren't our competition. Greyhound bus lines is.
Yeah.
And in his mind, they were a Greyhound bus with wings. That was the business model. Everything is just like Greyhound, but you strap wings on that thing. And everyone else wanted to be a big boy or big girl airline. And he just, Greyhound doesn't serve food. They never have, and they probably never will.
Yeah. Next one, very quickly, retain Texas as our number one priority and only go interstate if high density short haul markets are available to us. It's very, very clear when you're breaching that rule, right?
Yep.
It really is. So that's the SMAC one. Obviously, I think we mentioned earlier, it typically only changes less than 20% per decade. So this is stuck around for a very long time. I want to give you another.
And I think in Southwest's history, they've been around, I think, since the 70s, and correct me if I'm wrong. They've been around a long, long time. Incredible profitability, amazing performance. But one of the things, they're still running 737s. It's the only thing they run. Again, just sticking to the simple basics. All right, continue on, Brad.
It's the distractions that ruin us. So here's another example, a company called Connectwise IT. I love their SMAC. Okay, so here's 4 key points out of their 10-point SMAC. So the first one is their IT, right? System engineers must be 80% billable. Now, I used to own an IT company. I know how important that is, right? That is everything. If you can't get your people to a certain billable amount and get them to stay there, everything falls apart. Second one, we will sell hardware with a 20% margin target. You can imagine how much grief they would have had. Yeah, but you don't understand. This is a big opportunity.
Yeah.
We need to sell it at 5%, or this is what the the competition are doing. This is the price. We're going to have to go in at 5% to win that deal. Next one. This is probably my favorite SMAC item of all of the SMAC items.
I love it.
We don't take on doctors or lawyers as clients. Can you imagine the grief that they have had to put that as a SMAC item? Now, I've got nothing against...
I'd love to know more. It's probably not appropriate, but I'd love to know more.
I don't have anything against doctors or lawyers, but in their company, they obviously have had a lot of failures and disappointments in that arena. And so they've said, well, this is what we don't do. I
have another client that talks. I have one company they work with that loves to work with lawyers. It's one of their key customers. I have another company I work with that just understands the complexities of dealing with doctors.
Yeah.
They work with them well. It's a core customer, and it's wonderful and hard because, again, they all have their challenges, but it's about knowing your customer and who it is. I love it.
This is how we win. Remember, this is the recipe for success. We will not be living the recipe for success if we take on doctors or lawyers as clients. And then the last one from Connectwise IT, we won't take on clients that have an IT department.
Yeah, smart.
Like, we may be tempted. We can sell them some hardware, or they only want this little bit. We can't produce the greatest success. So then when you think about all of the components that would make up a SMAC, if you stick to it, great successes happens. But also, if you regularly revisit it, let's say quarterly, it's going to tell you or prompt you to ask, hey, Kev, why are we working with doctors? Like, we've got 4 doctors clients, and our SMAC says that we don't work with clients. I must have had so many conversations on this. Why are we working with doctors?
Yeah. And another option that we do in some companies, if we're unsure about a decision, we run it through the flywheel to make sure it'll add power to the flywheel. And then we run it through the SMAC. Well, SMAC's not a circle. Run it through the SMAC to make sure that it's consistent with the SMAC. Those are 2 points that help us to make good decisions. Amongst others, those are 2 filters to help us to make good decisions.
Yeah. So then how often do the SMACs change? We mentioned the 20% earlier, but one example here was Intel. They make computer chips. So they only had one change in 1985. And very quickly, the story there is that the Japanese competitors had started to dominate memory chips. And the founders of Intel came into a board meeting and they just said off the cuff, well, if we were new to this company, what would we do? And the response was, we'd shut down memory chips tomorrow. And then that prompted them to change their SMAC recipe because the market had changed significantly. But the point, and then they shifted to focus on microprocessors. But the point there is that we sometimes we have to change, but not very often.
Yeah, and not very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically if there's a massive new insight that we've had through the process. So it's a great thing, a tool to have as the guardrails for your most important decisions, and basically principles that you stick by that allow you to be enduring and continue on your march towards greatness. It's a great thing. The SMAC recipe. My little takeaway is it's the list of all the things that have smacked you hard and you've learned the hard way in business and you don't want to repeat. So just to do a quick review, we talked about the SMAC list concept from Jim Collins. Thank you, Jim, for your awesome research that finds these principles that we can use. A very simple tool with a great name. Came out of studying those most successful companies in turbulent times. We talked about how the hedgehog is critical to understanding the core of your business, and the SMAC is almost the guidelines or the principles to stick to your hedgehog or bring your hedgehog to life. And make sure that you're doing the right things that in the end can help to build momentum in your flywheel and not screw it up. And they're built from all of our lessons that we talked about. We talked about the Southwest SMAC and their key things, a couple of other SMACs that, one from real estate, one from IT. And then Brad talked about how, they don't change, maybe 20% a decade, not much at all. And they just change when you get another big oopsie or a big lesson about something that you want to tweak in your model. So great chat. Hey, Brad, I just love it. And it's making me think of one client that we work with that would probably benefit from this. And we need to put that on the agenda to get this done.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. This has been the Growth Whisperers podcast. Brad and I love sharing the learnings that we have from great thought leaders like Jim Collins and the wonderful companies that we work with around the world that implement these principles and get their insights and traction from it. To subscribe, please subscribe if you haven't already to wherever you listen to podcasts, and even better yet, share it with some friends. What other entrepreneurs or leaders do you know that you can share this with? And rate it if you feel like it today. For the YouTube version, go to youtube.com, search the Growth Whisperers. It's there. You can watch us as we're having our discussions, see some of the hand signals between us at times. And Brad and I both have newsletters. We put very thorough newsletters out on a weekly basis to all the people that we interact with. And we have other great resources on our websites. Brad's is evolutionpartners.com.au, and ours is lawrenceandco.com, ANDCO.com. Hope you have an awesome week. And if you don't have your SMAC list, put it together and you can avoid future SMACs. Have a great one.